Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Caitlin Francis in for Kimberly McBroom. Roanoke police responded to the 1300 block of Abbott Street for a shooting last night. Officers on scene told WDBJ7 shell casings were found in the road, which led them to a house on Abbott Street. While our cameras were rolling, two people were seen in handcuffs, a man and a woman. That man was put in the back of a police car and driven away. Police say a car was hit with bullets, but no one was hurt. A Lynchburg man has been found guilty of distributing heroin. A jury recommended Michael McMillan Jr. spent 18 years in prison. This is McMillan's third offense. The sentencing carries a minimum of 10 years to life in prison. He'll be formally sentenced October 16th. 4 people were arrested on drug charges in Rich Creek. Police arrested Deshaun Casey, Sabrina Thompson, Erica Ratliff, and Kyle Williams at the Budget Inn on Old Virginia Avenue. All are being charged with possession. Casey and Thompson are also being charged with possession with the intent to distribute. President Trump meets with victims and first responders in Dayton, Ohio and El Paso, Texas today, the sites of this weekend's 2 mass shootings that killed 31 people total and wounded dozens more. Hillary Lane is in El Paso with the latest. And as the country grapples with the aftermath of those 2 mass shootings, members of Congress are calling on their colleagues to pass laws to prevent them from happening in the future. Some lawmakers are now calling on Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to hold an emergency Senate session on guns. Democrat Chuck Schumer and Republican Peter King are urging the Senate to take up the House-passed Bipartisan Background Checks Act of 2019. Other lawmakers spoke to the president on various bill proposals. The White House says it's also considering taking action without Congress. And after the weekend's mass shootings, a scare in New York's Times Square had people panicking. Take a look. This was the scene last night. You can see people running, dropping to the ground. This all after loud noises sounded like gunfire. New York City police say it was actually motorcycles backfiring, but they received numerous calls to 911 during all that chaos. All right, let's take a quick turn to our hometown forecast with meteorologist Christian Johansson. It's Wednesday, everyone.
Yeah, don't change your channel. It's not Saturday morning.
You're not imagining things. You didn't skip forward to the end of the week.
Right.
Yeah. And I know that this is going to be something that pretty much all of us are going to have to at least keep our eyes on. Keep the weather app handy. Make sure you have a plan in place if you're outside. You need to get to cover.
That's it. It's going to be scattered. So we'll just see when they pop up and we'll track them from there.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Christian. We're moving on to some breaking news this afternoon. Roanoke police have arrested 3 people in connection to a shooting this morning. It happened about 2 o'clock. Well, that's when police heard those shots being fired. That officer found several people outside of a home in the 2800 block of Clifton Street. Police say 2 people from that home fired shots into an occupied car on the street. No injuries were reported. Police did arrest Deandra Simon, Eric Simon, and Joshua Carson. All 3 are now facing charges. Anyone with information about the incident is asked to call police. A Taliban suicide car bomber targeted a police station in the Afghan capital. 14 people are dead and 145 others are hurt after that attack. This comes a day after the U.S. envoy and the Taliban reported progress in their talks on negotiating an end to the war in Afghanistan. Afghan natives now say they're worried once the U.S. and NATO troops pull out. The Taliban controls about half of the country. That's their strongest hold since 2001. Flooding in China left 13 people dead and a path of destruction behind. Take a look at this. The heavy rain hit yesterday, trapping dozens of people. Allegations of abuse against the Boy Scouts of America are now under investigation. The organization says it's referred about 120 allegations of abuse by Scout leaders to law enforcement. The Boy Scouts says, quote, it believes victims and that it's working to identify more possible perpetrators, end quote. A lawsuit was filed this week by a now 57-year-old man who claims he was sexually abused during overnight camping trips and other excursions back in the 70s. A woman who says she was a 16-year-old sex trafficking victim when she killed a man left prison earlier. Centoya Brown says 43-year-old real estate agent Johnny Allen picked her up in 2004 in an area of Nashville known for prostitution. She says Allen agreed to pay her $150 with the intent to have sex, drove her to his home. Brown was 16 at the time, but under Tennessee law was tried as an adult. She was sentenced to life in prison for murder. Last year, Brown got her first bid for freedom before a patrol board. While in prison, Brown earned an associate's degree and says she now wants to use her experiences to help other women and girls suffering abuse and exploitation. Hey, welcome back. Some students in our area are heading back to class this week, if you can believe it. So whether it's their first day of school ever or their first day at a new school, getting into the routine takes some preparation. We've got some advice for you in this week's Early Years. Can't even believe we were talking about back to school. We're going to get ready for that bus stop forecast.
I know, no kidding. Yeah, there's a lot of good information there.
Yeah, but today we're more concerned about some severe weather maybe rolling through. Just into the WDBJ7 newsroom, a company in Henry County is investing more than $7 million to expand. Eastman's expansion will include additional production space, and officials say while this investment will not immediately result in additional jobs, future job growth is possible. Eastman has been in Henry County since 2013. An unprecedented new rule will soon impact millions of travelers. San Francisco's airport is banning the sale of plastic water bottles. As Kenneth Craig reports, it's the latest move away from plastic. Welcome back. A major airline runs into technical problems. Panera Bread announces new fall treats. Wendy Gillette has those stories and more in our Money Watch. Scattered is the key word.
Yep.
Make sure you've got your weather app handy.
Yep.
Have a great rest of your afternoon. We'll see you back here at 4.